What's up, guys? Today's video is going to be a little bit different than usual, but I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what I went through and basically my overall through hike of the Pine Creek Rail Trail. And we're going to talk about things that I should not have brought. We're going to talk about the emotions. We're going to talk about my pack. We're going to talk about the bike and what I did with the bike. So stay tuned, and thanks for hanging out with me today. All right, so first up, the bike. You guys see the bike. Initially, I thought the bike was a little bit too small. And it really turned out to be, because after watching some other YouTube videos, I found out that that bike was in fact a little bit too small for me. I did some online research as well, and yeah, it was just straight up. Again, I'm a 6 foot tall man. I weigh 220 some pounds. You're not supposed to know that, but anyway, in essence, the bike really was too small for me. And one of the things I noticed out on trail is, sadly, a little bit too late anyway, was the tires were not properly inflated. I wondered why folks of all ages, kids, middle-aged people, older people, they were flying by me, no problem, pedaling, coasting just fine. And it turns out my tires were not properly inflated. I do not remember the exact proper inflation, but I did inflate them to a little bit more firm of tire pressure, and still it did not get me down the trail like I thought it was gonna. And sadly, physically, it wore on me more, and it just was not a good time on the bike. Next up, we're going to talk about the overconfidence I had in this trail. This trail was 61.2 miles in length. Everybody rounds it up to 62. And initially, my first 10 miles, I was going all right. I was tired, but I was going all right. But it just, it really got to me, because I thought that a flat trail, riding a bike, I mean, that saying, it's as easy as riding a bike. It's not that easy. I was overconfident about the trail. I'm like, I'll be fine. I did the modifications to the bike like you saw. If you haven't watched the video, please go watch the video. I'll link that down in the description. It's not very far away. It's the video 2 underneath this one, because I did a short, then the Pine Creek Rail Trail, the full video. Then I did a short of it. Anyway, I got overconfident. I've never done a through hike before. This is my very first through hike. And I just got overconfident again, because you're gonna hear me say that a lot, because it was a flat trail, it's riding bike. But in essence, it kind of leads right into the next topic, which is poor route planning and campsites. So originally, I had booked 2 campsites. I had booked one at Black Walnut Bottom, which is where I stayed, the one night that I stayed. And then I booked one that was at the 12-mile marker, maybe. It was the Tagafdown, or I don't know how you say it. I've heard it pronounced a different couple ways. I think Tagafdown is the correct way to say it. But it was at about the 12 or 13 mile mark, I believe. And I was going to stay there. But I was on foot at this point. This was day 2. Again, we'll kind of go out of order a little bit. But it was really poor planning on my part. The miles in between, or I shouldn't say in between, the miles seemed, their mile markers seemed longer than what All Trails was going. But in essence, I mean, a mile is a mile, I guess. So I had to go by the mile markers on the trail, and I was going heavily at that. If you're on my Facebook page, by the way, stop by my Facebook page, Travis Walker Experience, and check it out. It's basically pictures of the adventures. I share my YouTube links on there and whatever. But another thing I didn't do was I didn't plan out the campsites according to the route, according to my abilities. And even in the video, I talk about my abilities, and if you're not physically fit to the task, like I was not, but I'm hard-headed and I'm not a quitter, and I pushed through almost. We'll get to that in the end of the video, but what I should have done is the farthest amount of miles I've hiked on foot would be 15 and a half. When I did the Green Monster Trail a couple years ago, that video also I'll link down below if you want to check that out. It's my Halloween featured hike. And yes, it's literally called the Green Monster. It's multiple trail systems in Pennsylvania that makes up a supposed 14.2 mile loop or something like that, but I ended up going 15 and a half miles. But what I should have done is I should have just done 15 and a half miles, or the closest campground. I should have booked the campsite there. I should have done another 15 or maybe even pushed it to 20 miles, or the nearest campsite that I could, because there was campsites or campgrounds throughout the whole thru hike. Usually there's campsites if you're in the middle of the woods doing a thru hike. There's usually campsite designated camping areas that you could stay at. But what I did not do is I did not plan accordingly my campsites. I overexerted myself. I pushed myself way too hard. So if you're ever doing a thru hike, and I am by no means a professional, I'm not even a popular YouTuber, but this is for any of you newbies that might be running across my page. Don't push yourself beyond your physical effort, or abilities, I should say, and take your time. And the next thing I want to talk about is, like, I got my little notepad here so I don't forget things, is rest when you need to. Again, I pushed myself very physically in this thru hike. And when I got to the campground, which was about 25 miles from where I started in Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, I was suffering. Riding the bike, because I haven't rode a bike in a long time, it made my butt hurt. My butt muscles were pretty darn sore. And along the way, you'll see if you watch the video, I took a couple rest stops, but it wasn't enough. My right knee, I did have some problems with. We're fine now. I can bend it and sit, and I can walk. I don't run, but I could run if I needed to. You'll hear me complain, and yes, I say complain because it was a complaint that my right knee was very tight. It was more or less hurting. And my left quad muscle, my left thigh muscle was just very tight. Apparently I did not stretch out enough. I always stretch out, well, most of the time. And this one, apparently I did not stretch out enough or long enough to really get them muscles loose and ready for the physical activity. Next thing we're going to talk about is my pack weight. My pack weight when I was at home here was 21.3 pounds. And I believe that when you're backpacking, doing a thru hike, you want to stay at 25 pounds or just under 25 pounds or whatever. Cat hair in my hat here. That's to be comfortable. But also you have to wear a pack that's been measured to fit your body, or something that you know is comfortable. It may be something you've used for quite some time. With me, my pack measured out to be 21.3 pounds until when I put this very tripod I'm using on there. I weighed this tripod actually this morning, and this tripod is a heavy duty tripod, and this weighs, ready for this, 3.2 pounds. I know it might not seem like a lot to people, but trust me, it's a lot of extra weight when you're doing a thru hike. And I only used it at the campground. Originally, I had planned on filming some through shots of me riding through a scene, or riding past or into a clip or scene, or whatever you want to call it. But I never did that. Again, because I pushed myself too much, and I didn't have the energy to take the time to take it off my pack, because I had it strapped to the back, and set it up, take the camera off my handheld tripod, put it on this tripod, and so on and so forth. I didn't have the energy to do that. Literally, I did not have the energy. So that was extra weight. Some of the extra things that I brought would be my folding saw to process wood. Even though when I was at the campsite, I was so dead tired, I didn't even eat dinner. I talked to the camera for a little bit, I unwound, I rehydrated, which, excuse me here for a minute, because I'm starting to get cotton mouth talking to you guys, that you don't bring any unnecessary items. Another unnecessary item I brought was my Mylar blanket. And if you don't know what a Mylar blanket is, it's a silver blanket. It's supposed to like reflect heat back to you. Granted, it doesn't weigh very much, but I'm like, it's 76 degrees. It's humid out here. The sun is beating down on me. Why do I need a blanket to stay warm? I kept plenty of warm in my nature hike sleeping bag, brand new sleeping bag. First time I used it, it was rated for 59 degrees, I believe it was. And I didn't sweat at night, but it was plenty warm, let's just say that. So definitely watch what you bring. I know people can bring like a luxury item, they call them, which may be something that you feel comfortable at home with. It reminds you of home or reminds you of your loved one. What I have is my cell phone. And when I say looking at my girlfriend's face on my lock screen helped me make it through to where I did anyway, it really did. Seeing her smiling, beautiful face really helped me kind of push through. Like, I've got to get home to her. Again, if you watch the video, you'll hear me say that I miss the girlfriend, and just sitting on a couch and bantering and holding hands and just being all lovey-dovey. So make sure your pack weight is not overweight. You don't want to overweight, because that's just going to slow you down. It's going to tire you out. It's going to hold you back. The next thing I want to talk about is your footwear. Make sure, number one, your shoes are not loose and floppy on you. That's actually the biggest thing. And number two, make sure they fit you. So these are two problems that I actually went through on this thru hike. Day 2, I went on foot. This is where I'm going to go back and talk about the bike. Day 2, I went on foot. And I noticed not long after I got in, probably 8 miles or so, my shoes kept coming untied. The tongue to my shoe kept moving to the side, exposing my foot, therefore not staying really tight to my foot, being all loose, which can cause blisters. And they were very small. They were the Asics brand, and I've noticed I've had a problem with Asics. I've had 2 pairs of Asics before, and usually new shoes, they stretch out. These ones actually did not stretch out. These loosened up, which meaning they stayed the same size, like foot size wise, but like all the materials stretched out and it loosened up. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense to you. It makes sense to me. But they loosened up. Again, the shoes kept coming untied. The tongue kept moving over. And basically, a size 12 was like probably size 11 and a half on me. I usually wear a size 12 in everything, but not Asics. So definitely make sure you have the proper footwear. Research footwear. Do not be afraid to spend the money on good footwear, certain things like that. I'm an advocate for affordable items, but when it comes to things that are going to keep you comfortable and healthy and be able to push through and do your hikes or your long walks or your bike rides, I'm a strong advocate for that as well. So footwear is definitely something that is a must, whether you spend money on it or not. But you most definitely must have good footwear. Now, for this specific hike, it was a flat gravel trail. Again, it was about 62 miles in length. And one of the problems I had was the gravel, with the shoes being too loose, would flip up into my shoes as I walked. So every couple miles, I would get gravel in my shoes. And eventually, stepping on that gravel so long would make my feet sore. I actually had a couple of those pieces of gravel embedded in my foot that I had to dig out at one of my rest stops. That's not pleasant, which again can make your feet sore. And the other thing about your feet is wear dry fitting socks, something that's going to wick away the moisture, keep the moisture off your skin, because that can cause blisters. And again, with loose shoes, that can cause blisters as well. Loose fitting shoes mean your feet are going to rub. I mean, you don't want insanely tight, small shoes, but you want something fitting to your foot. You don't want them loose, you don't want them tight, you want them fitting. I dare even say snug, but snug is still kind of like a tight word, if you understand what I'm saying. Next thing we're going to talk about is clothing. Make sure you wear the proper type of clothing. Also, look at your weather. I prepared myself for the rain. So I brought my lightweight rain jacket. And it did perfect. It even kept me a little bit warm. To be quite honest with you, I sweat in that little rain jacket. Problem is that was a little bit too small for me, although it did the job. It did keep me dry after I put it on when I got completely soaked. Because it was warm and I was moving about, I didn't plan on my rest breaks and the wind that was blowing. I did eventually get a chill. So pay attention to your weather. If it is going to rain, take a rain jacket, whether you wear it or not. Make sure it's packable. Make sure it's lightweight. There are great lightweight rain jackets out there. I actually have an SJM, I think. It's from Walmart. It was $20. It worked perfect. It did not let any moisture in on my clothing other than the moisture that was already there prior to me putting the jacket on from the downpour. I felt the rain was going to feel good and cool me down, which it did. But again, when I stopped, it made me cold. So you want to stay dry. And again, staying dry means wearing clothes that is moisture wicking, that gets the moisture off your skin. A moisture wicking shirt. You do not want to wear cotton. My friends, cotton, although I do wear cotton out on trails, but most of the time I'm doing a day hike, not very many miles. Most of my day hikes have been 3 to 6 miles, maybe 8, but like not very many miles. I'm not worried about a little bit of moisture in my shirts and stuff like that. Not to mention I don't have a whole lot of moisture wicking shirts, but I do have some. And I should have wore them. I should have took them with me at least out on that trail. The first day I wore a white t-shirt, white to hopefully like not draw in the sun like a black shirt. And the second day I wore a thermal, which was a bad idea because what's thermal? It's supposed to keep you warm. But I didn't know, I knew it was supposed to rain, but I didn't know if the wind was supposed to blow and it was supposed to get cold. And like I said, I did get cold when I sat down to take a rest. So therefore, my rest stops were not very long. My legs got super tired. Again, pushing myself beyond my physical capabilities. Bad idea. Now, when it comes to my bottoms, what I wore is a pair of gym shorts, my Under Armour shorts. As long as they're lightweight, they're breathable, I would not recommend wearing like a pair of Carhartt work shorts out on trail. I would not recommend wearing like a regular pair of cargo shorts on trail. Make sure they're light. They're loose fitting, easier, to let the air move up in your nether regions, keep things cool. But yeah, a basic pair of gym shorts. Now they do make hiking shorts that are wonderful to wear. They have the cargo pockets. You can put your phone in one. You can put your wallet, if you have it, in the other. Yeah, they do make cargo hiking shorts that are lightweight. They're water resistant or even waterproof. But a lot of them shorts basically are just gym shorts. A lot of the hiking cargo shorts are stretchy material, which is great to wear when you're out there being mobile and physical. Stretchability, breathability, it's all good to have. Now when it comes to underwear, I wore a simple pair of Wrangler moisture wicking underwear. They're kind of like a spandex material. They were a little bit tighter fitting, but it pulled the moisture away from my skin, again, keeping my nether regions quite dry. Enough about that. Let's go on to, I started out biking and then I ended up on foot. So, originally my plan was to bike this whole 62-mile trail. The first day was very much a struggle. I got about 3.5 miles in, 3 miles in, something like that. And I was pretty cottonmouth. I was pretty dry. I was pretty winded. I think I got up to 8 miles and my bottom started to get sore. That made the experience the most uncomfortable. And again, with not stretching, my left thigh muscles started to get really hot and cramp up. I did not like any of that. My right knee, I feel I did not stretch out good enough basically for my muscles. So I started biking the first day. Again, we got about 25 miles to our campground, and I decided to stash the bike at a ranger station. I actually told the rangers, I said, I'm biking the Pine Creek Trail. I said, I have a bike here, and I'm better off on foot. I said, it's bothering my right knee and my left muscle. So if you could, please donate this bike to a child or an adult or whomever in need or whatever. It come with a helmet. It come with the iPhone or phone holder in general, and it come with a brand new gel saddle, or AKA seat. So I made that decision at camp because I was moving better. I felt better on foot. I was more used to being on foot and hiking those miles. So after stashing that bike, that next day, I hoofed it on foot all the way to Wells. Well, it's actually Morris, Pennsylvania, but it's only 8.6 is the technical mile, but I just rounded it up to 9 because it sounds better. Anyway, no, it's 8.6 miles. Again, I rounded it up to 9. That was in Darling Run, and that's where my show ended. Or in this case, my hike, my adventure, my travels ended. I sat down in Darling Run at the little train station display house that they have on a bench. It was really nice to actually sit in a chair. And probably about 10 minutes after sitting, I went to stand up and my right knee locked up. Again, you'll hear this in the video, the last scene of the video, you hear me talk about that. It was very tough to be almost there, but be so far away. I am not a quitter, but my knee said otherwise. Sometimes you have to listen to your body, folks, and my body said back at the campground that I was done. But I'm like, okay, well, I've got a whole nother day that I need to see if I can get out of this. And I hiked 28 miles that day from Black Walnut Bottom Campground all the way to the Darling Run access area in Morris. I believe, again, it's Morris, PA. It was 28 miles I did. All flat trail, winding my way through the wilderness and up Pine Creek and through a couple towns. No service that whole 28 miles. So it was just me and you guys. So again, the next day I hoofed it all on foot. It was easier. I moved faster. I went a couple miles an hour slower. On the bike, I was doing about 5.5 miles an hour. On foot, I was doing about 3. So yeah, again, taking the fact that I'm 6 foot tall, I've been told I have a long stride. And there were points in the hike where being on foot, I was moving. I was making really good time. I made it to Rattlesnake Rock where I took my first real break, took off my shoes, took off my socks, let my feet breathe. My first real break was at Rattlesnake Rock, and that was, I forget what mileage point that was, but we had quite a few miles to go. And it wasn't long after that when the rain started. So, yeah. Do not push yourself when it comes to doing a thru hike. Know your limitations, know your physical limitations, know your mental limitations. And that's the next thing I want to talk to you guys about, is your mental emotions and limitations. So when I arrived at Black Walnut Bottom Campground, I was ready to give up. I was so physically and mentally exhausted, and not to mention beat from the sun, because the previous few miles, it was direct sunlight on trail, and I was starting to feel kind of loopy, to be honest with you. And it wasn't because of lack of water. I had plenty of water, which that's something else I wanted to run by you guys. If you're doing a thru hike, having a water bladder is the greatest thing ever for drinking water. You don't have to stop to take off your pack and pull out your water bottle and start drinking your water and whatnot. You have a straw, you pull out on it, you bite down, you suck on it, and you get your water. The hiking bladders, or the water bladders, are one of the best inventions ever for thru hikes. Just knowing, or places that you can re-up on your water, or having a water filtration if you have to take water out of a trickle of water that's coming down this little stream off of the side of the trail or whatever, or a little creek that's nearby. Having a water filter, a water purifier, something like that. A water filter is usually better. There's a plethora of them, so go online. If you plan on getting out, please make sure you do that. My emotions. When I arrived at the campground, again, I was fried. I was all over the place. I was ready to throw in the towel, raise my white flag, and call it quits. The next day, when I got in service, I was going to say, hey, Dad, I'm in this town. Send him my location. Be like, hey, come and get me. But there was not a spot of service from Black Walnut Bottom all the way to Darling Run, where my hike did end. And I'm actually really glad, because I'm really proud of myself. Even though I did not finish, I've never hiked that many miles in one day before, my friends. 28 miles on foot. That's a long way. Even for me, the first day, biking about 25 miles. The actual miles pinpointed were 24.70. That's close enough to 25 for me. But that's a long way for me, again, because I've never done that before. And I pat myself on the back for making it as far as I did. My brother, one of my social media friends, said that they were proud of me. Not many people do that. And again, there's people that are doing thru hikes out there on trail. Matter of fact, my friend Melanie right now is out on trail. She's doing the AT right now, and I think she just crossed over into New Hampshire. So Melanie, if you ever see this, keep going, my friend. You're doing great. I enjoy the pictures and the video. But again, your emotions, if you've never done anything like that before, can be a very strong defense, or not a defense, can be very strong opponent, I guess, to fight with, to quit or push through. I definitely do not recommend quitting just because you're physically exhausted. And I'm glad I didn't, because I got up the next day, I had coffee, I had breakfast, and again, I hiked those 28 miles, and I'm super proud of myself. So in the end, there was about 9 miles left. I'm gonna go back probably early next year, and I'm gonna finish those miles. I'm gonna have a couple special guests with me to finish those miles, to make this flat trail not so boring, because to be quite honest with you, it did get kind of boring out there. The only person I had to talk to again was you guys, my camera, and occasionally a few passerbys. There'd be people on bikes mostly. I did have a gentleman, as I was hiking, was riding a bike, talking to me, told me I looked like a professional. I said, no sir, I'm not a professional. I just told him, I said, this is actually my first thru hike. I have a YouTube channel, told them about it, but they were actually, I believe, a Mennonite family. And I'm not sure if they have the luxury of electronics and whatnot. I'm not sure about those types of cultures and religions and stuff like that. I'm not sure what they're allowed to have or what they choose to have in their lives. But that was really the only gentleman I talked to besides a person on a bike or jogging one way or the other. Good morning, hello, how are we doing today type thing. So yeah, don't let your physical emotions, the way you feel when you're dead dog tired, make you quit. Get some rest, relax. And I'm glad I didn't, because at the end of that trail, I was super happy to make it as far as I did, because I had never gone that far before. So if you haven't watched the video, please check out that video. I would really love it if you did. If you think it's awesome, please share it around. Maybe you got a hiker friend of yours that maybe you've never even heard of that trail that you want to bike it or hike it together. But again, know your limitations, plan your route, don't do more than you can physically do. And don't let your brain beat you up too much, because you can do it. I made it, well, almost anyway. But again, we're gonna finish that up next year, probably in the winter time. We're gonna do it when it's a little bit cooler out there. But cooler, no snow though. But thank you guys for watching this. I hope this gave you a little bit of background into that hike. And I felt this was really good to let you guys know what I went through. I guess kind of my motives behind leaving the bike behind and whatnot. So as always, y'all, please stay safe, stay healthy, and y'all be good to each other. And we'll see you next time out on the trail.